Hey, Des. Where are you at? Getting ready to start here on Wednesday and trying to move on from the Washington performance and game.
Yeah, obviously, you look back at last week. It's tough coming off a game like that. When you lead in time of possession, you out-lead the opponent in total yards, and don't come out with a win. Obviously, there's situational things that we could be better at. And my end, protecting the ball obviously is a way that we can obviously get better and kind of control that outcome of the game. But now, like I said, we're on to this week. We got a great divisional opponent against us, a team who has only lost, a couple games and is coming in hungry. Obviously, another home game for them and one that they just lost at home. So they're going to be determined, hungry, and ready to go.
How do you put the, interceptions behind you? Were they all separate? Or did you go down the list, say, hey, can't do this, don't call that? Or how do you move on or try to grow from those?
Yeah, like I said, there's a couple things in each where either I could have made a better read, we could have ran a better route, or a miscommunication of all three. So, there's little parts in that entire game with not only myself, but just everyone on the offense. Like I've said before, it's got to be all 11 guys working on the same page. One guy can't just go off and do its own thing, whether that's me, whether that's a receiver, O-lineman, tight end, doesn't matter. All 11 guys have to be on the same page to execute the play. And
Tampa's front, what are some of the issues they present, and how has your front been handling things up front for you?
Yeah, I feel like for me, I feel like our O-line has done a great job all season. Give me enough time to get the ball out, being able for me to make quick reads and get it out. And then, you look at this Tampa D. Again, they like to have 5 guys up there always. They like a lot of pressure, whether that's a single backer, simulator, whatever it may be. They're always going to try to press you and try to confuse the quarterback, whether it's a look in the safety rotations or, like I said, just the pressure, maybe dropping a guy out. And so we just have to be ready for everything.
Does your mental approach or approach in general change the week after a game when you've had a couple interceptions in the game?
No, I don't think, from the interception standpoint, no, I don't think that's a mental approach. I think what changes this week from, the previous weeks is just our attention to detail. How we go about, getting in and out the huddle, breaking the huddle with urgency, getting to the ball, lining up, getting, having everyone know where they're supposed to go, what they're supposed to be. And then within each of those, just the details in the routes, the details in my drop, the details in the reads. And so, I feel like, you try to obviously learn from the mistakes that were made last week and correct them in this week. But, you don't want to dwell on those interceptions rather than figure out where we can get better at, and that's the attention to detail.
Do you go through, obviously you've played quarterback a long time, do you go through a process of sort of mentally recentering yourself? I'm just curious what that's like for you when you're going on.
Yeah, like I've told you guys since I've got here, for me it's neutral thinking. It's never being too high, never being too low. So, throughout that entire game, obviously there's ups and downs, but just staying neutral. And then going back and you kind of just got to take a good look in the mirror, see where you went wrong, where you could have done better, and move on in the future.
Do you try to draw on some of the big throws you made, particularly in the first half of that game, and moving forward, do you sort of take that positive out of that game?
Yeah, like in every game, there's good and there's bad, but you got to learn from both. You got to learn how to be better in the good and how to be better in the bad. And so, when there's good, it's all good and everyone's cheering. And then when it's bad, all fingers are pointed at you, but you got to figure out a way to get better. And like I've said every single day, my job is to come in here and get better every single day. Not only, my job for me to get better, but to push everyone else around me and to push the team to get better as well.
How much do you focus on your mistakes without driving yourself crazy? Do you watch it like 10 times and you're done? Do you watch it once and move on? How do you do that? How do you?
Yeah, like I've kind of told you guys my schedule, but it's hard for me to go to sleep on a Sunday night without rewatching the game back, seeing what I could have done different or what I could have done better, and then you come in and watch it again on Monday. And you go through it with the coaches and everything, and obviously figure out what happened or what went wrong. Because obviously Sunday after the game, everyone kind of goes home and about their own ways, so you don't get the chance to talk about really what happened or what he felt or what I felt. And that's kind of when we come in Monday and kind of all talk about it for the last time. Like I said, learn from the mistakes, learn from the goods, learn from the bads, and move on.
When you're watching it by yourself, though, are you taking notes? Are you kind of jotting down things like topics you want to discuss, or something you saw maybe, or someone else? Like, are you really dissecting, or are you just watching it once through?
Yeah, I'm watching it, and then I'll go through. Most likely, more so when we come back on the Monday, kind of have those post-game notes for, whether we see a team twice in a year or we see them again in 2 or 3 years. So just to have those post-game notes.
Hey, Desmond, I was curious about the late game management, the clock, the flow, everything on those last 2 drives. You guys have had a lot of drives, crunch time, 2 minute, and handled it without any issues. What was different the other day, and what did you learn about those details maybe you talked about in terms of the flow of the game in crunch time?
Yeah, this offense is different than a lot of offenses in the league, and what I mean by that is just the personnel that we have. We're able to have so many guys in there at so many different positions. The biggest thing for us is communication. Not just communication from my standpoint to the O-line, but from the sideline, from the coaches, from the people up top, all the way down. Just making sure that everyone is on the same page, everyone is communicating, so that when we get in there, like I said, we practice those situational every single day. We practice substituting every single day. And that's just something that, hasn't came up this year as an issue for us. Obviously was an issue last week that we got to clean up and be better at.
It looked like it was driving you a little crazy, though, just watching on TV, the plays coming in and the clock winding down. How do you deal with that? And that's kind of out of your control to some degree, right?
Yeah, it's tough playing a quarterback, and, not only are you playing against the defense, but then you start playing against that little clock up there. And for us as quarterbacks, it's hard when that clock starts bleeding down, getting to, 4-3, and you're getting the ball snapped. It just makes you speed things up a lot faster. And that's something that we don't want to do. So obviously, just trying to stay ahead of that clock. And, it just goes back to communication, making sure everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be. And then, like I said earlier, just the details within those plays.
It's like after the second on TV, it showed after the second interception, you've been pretty frustrated, talking to Arthur, pretty animated after when you got back to the bench. What was going on there exactly?
Yeah, it was one of those things where, that was one where I didn't play within the play. We talked about it all week, probably shouldn't have thrown that route. You go back, I thought they were going to give me something different, drop out with where Drake was and CP, I think, into the boundary. And, you go back and Drake's wide open. And, all week we were just playing that concept. I thought I was getting something else, played the other concept, it turns into a pick. All he came over and said was just, hey, play the play. And I was just like, I've told you guys this too, where I would get in trouble is, one, either trying to do too much, or two, trying to do too much mentally and play outside of the play. Thinking that we're getting something that we're not, whether if I just stayed inside the play, we would have had a completion to Drake, probably still running, scoring, probably doing the dirty bird or something. But, it's just, we were just going back and forth, just letting each other know, and I'm just letting him know, hey, I know I got to stay inside the play. And that's just what he was reassuring as well.
So that was more you being kind of frustrated with yourself then?
Yeah, 100%, because I knew, what I was supposed to do, where I was supposed to be. I just, like I said, just tried to do too much at that time.
You mentioned Drake. Where have you seen the growth from him, really, maybe from the start of this year?
Yeah, I think for Drake, where it comes is obviously his leadership, but I think what a lot of you guys might not see sometimes is just the mental stability of it. Sometimes whether he doesn't get a ball or misses one ball or makes a bad play or whatever it was, or kind of in the games last year where we'd get into those games and he might catch a ball and then it'd get it stripped from him or whatever it was. Then you see him down in the dumps. I think what he's done a really good job of this year is being able to kind of take more of that neutral thinking and kind of stay kind of neutral and never try to get too high, never try to get too low. And he's done a good job of just, keeping that energy all game.
When you're talking about, staying within the play, so when you're saying you're playing outside, is it like you're almost kind of predicting that they'll do something else and then it doesn't happen? Mm-hmm. What you're saying?
Yeah, just trying to do too much, trying to think, one step ahead. Obviously, as a quarterback, that's obviously what you try to do all the time, but sometimes that just gets you in trouble. Instead of just playing what they give you, play what they see, like I say all the time. Sometimes I just I just take what the defense gives me. And a lot of times, that's going to lead to success. And like I said, I just thought I saw something that it wasn't. It ended up being something that, it wasn't, and it ended wrong.
And that neutral thinking, where does it come from? Did someone teach you that growing up, or a coach or someone? Because it's a pretty good mentality to have.
Yeah, I would say it probably started with Coach Fick. Just always trying to keep us level-headed. It came from when we were Cincinnati of being the bottom of nothing, group of 5, and then next thing you know, A couple years later, we're playing in the Peach Bowl, playing in the college football playoffs. So, you know, it was just a roller coaster of emotions throughout our college career. And it was just all about staying level-headed. And yeah, so I feel like that's kind of, you know, what leads me to where I am.
You said that communication hasn't been an issue for you guys. Where are you at with pinpointing why the miscommunication was happening on Sunday?
Yeah, like I said, you know, we put a lot on our players. And, you know, we got a lot of smart guys in this building. And I feel like, you know, when you have a lot of smart guys, you can throw a lot at them. And, you know, sometimes we get into a whole bunch of different things where, you know, there is a lot that is thrown at a lot of people in a real quick amount of time. Especially, like we said, when we come back from these weeks, you know, you really got 3, maybe 3.5, 4 days of preparation. And so sometimes, you know, it does come quick. And like I said, that just goes back to, you know, guys and myself, we all got to be attention to detail, attention to the game plan, and be ready to go on Sunday.
So there's a level of confidence that the miscommunication is not going to fester into something bigger. You think it's going to get fixed?
Oh, yeah, it'll definitely be fixed. We'll be good to go on it.
I know it's 5 years away, but what was your reaction when you saw flag football just coming into the Olympics? I mean, could be a chance you could maybe get to play in it, or do you have any dreams or aspirations you want to play in it?
Yeah, that was funny you asked that because we was at dinner last night and it pulled up on the screen and I showed my wife and my wife was like, oh my, like how cool would that be to play for Team USA? And I was like, yeah, that would be amazing. But where I first went to was my daughter. You know, we see, you know, the girls' high school flag football here in Atlanta, Georgia, especially is huge. And so, you know, I thought that would obviously be one cool thing. So, you know, we got to get the rock spinning a little bit more in the backyard. But no, yeah, that's where my mom went to first.
Adding that up, after the game last week, I know I saw you walking out with your wife and daughter and stuff, and I'm sure you go back home and you have family time, whatever. Is there a moment then in the evening when you say, okay, Dad, I have to go watch film now? And how long do you sort of take?
Yeah, I get the car ride home, and then, you know, we get home, and, you know, whether we make dinner, order dinner, or whatever it is, it's usually try to get it right down before dinner. Just kind of buzz through it real quick, like I said, because I just got to get those, whatever it's a good play, bad play, or a misplay, got to get those out the way, or else it's kind of hard to, you know, just enjoy from 7 to 10 o'clock at night on that Sunday.
Oh, so you actually do it before dinner?
Yeah, I try to, like I said, I try to knock it out the way as soon as possible. You know, if my wife and daughter and family wasn't at the game, I'd probably, you know, just stay there real quick and knock it out as quick as I could, just so I could enjoy that hour ride home a little bit more peacefully.
Does Claire, if it's a bad game versus a good game, does Claire kind of say, hey, watch it later or watch it earlier? Because it might affect how you are?
No, sometimes she likes to throw her opinion in in one way or the other. And, you know, sometimes just like I do with you guys, I just kind of, you know, shake it off, nod it off, say thanks, babe, and I'll get better. But no, you know, she does a great job of, you know, supporting me and just being there for me, whether good or bad. So obviously it's a great spouse to have.
So she'll watch it with you, or will there be times you'll like watch it with you, or you're like, get out, I gotta watch this box?
No, I mean, I'll be, so usually, like I said, you know, during my normal week of preparation, I'll go in my office. This will be one where I'll stay in the living room, they're watching their show, whatever it may be, but I'm just sitting there buzzing the film.
Arthur spoke Sunday of this offense continuing to evolve, and we've seen it not only in the run-pass ratio, but where your passes are going more downfield. How do you feel about this evolution? How comfortable are you in the changes that are ongoing? And do you think you've reached the point where you're forcing defenses to approach you guys in a different way, including Tampa Bay this week?
Yeah, I hope that, you know, every single week a defense has to, you know, second guess, you know, what our plan is going to be. Are we going to pick it up and throw it 50 times, or are we going to run it 50 times? So that for us as an offense, obviously it's huge, just trying to keep the defense on the toes. I feel like, you know, within our passing game and everything that we have going, I'm comfortable in everything that we do. Like I said, it just goes back to never trying to do too much, just staying within the reads and just playing the play as a new play. Every single play is a new play, and don't think about the last play. You know, we might run the same play twice in the game. Don't think about how that first play ended up, rather than think about the same play that we're going to run. Think about it as a new one, because they could give you something completely different.
Where do you feel like you're growing in the pass game?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, like I said, you know, when I stay within the system, I feel like I'm seeing things very clear, getting the ball out of my hand quick. You know, in the past couple weeks, haven't taken very many sacks, been able to, you know, get outside the pocket, been able to use my feet to kind of, again, make the defense think whether I'm going to run it, whether I'm going to pass it. And so I feel like that's where we're constantly improving.
Arthur has mentioned that he appreciates how coachable and, you know, aware that you are throughout, you know, these growing pains. For you, when did you develop that trait? Have you always sort of had that level of self-awareness?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest players to coach are the ones who are going to be stubborn. And I learned that at a young age. So, it was, never have any disrespect, obviously, towards a coach or anything. But, there's going to be hard coaching. There's going to be people who yell at you. There's going to be people who cuss at you. It's not really how they say it. It's what they're saying. And that was the biggest thing I always took away, going through grade school, through high school. Don't really listen at the tone of the voice, more so the message. And, I think that's more important than ever is just to hear the message and don't worry about how it's coming across.
Yeah, Desmond, what do you see when you look at Tampa Bay's linebacker unit with David and White and all them across the
Yeah, obviously those two guys have played a lot of football, a lot of good football, and they kind of feed off one another. They're fast, they're physical, they're bigger guys, able to cover, get hands-on when they do get in man, and they come up and fill the run. But they're also smart, instinctual players. When they, see play action, they drop out, get their eyes back to the quarterback, and fill their holes. So, it'll be a great battle for our tight ends, for our interior, for our running backs.
And on the back end, Winfield, we getting old enough where I remember Dad. What is it on the back end back there with him and Ryan Neal?
Yeah, he's getting old enough, but he's still a younger guy too. But like I say, he's an instinctual guy that's going to play kind of that deep field. Kind of have eyes on the quarterback, kind of playing that center field guy as like say in baseball. And, they're just ball hawks. At the corner position with Davis and Dean, they're going to be, physical at the line of scrimmage, get hands-on, try to get you off your routes. And like I said earlier, they know that they're going to bring pressure, so they're expecting the ball to get out.
Yeah, Coach, one of the things, just looking at the stuff we get to look at, the numbers and stuff, looks like y'all getting a really good push up the middle with David and Grady to allow people to play off of that.
Yeah, it took a little time, and anytime you put something new in, guys have to learn it. They got to get comfortable with it, then they got to own it. And I think you kind of seen what the guys were doing last Sunday of owning what they were doing, and they have been doing it. It's just that the ball was coming out a little bit faster. This team here held the ball a little bit longer, gave us a chance to get there, and the outside guys did a really good job of getting off of blocks and getting sacks and stuff like that.
Could you speak specifically about the play of Grady and David together in there?
Well, I think one of the things that when we got a chance to see Grady and David, when they're really playing and they playing at a high level, we know that three have to take two. So we got two guys and they got to block them with three. That's a plus for us. If they start blocking one-on-ones, our guys are really getting pushed into the quarterback. They're doing a good job so the quarterback can't step up. Now, that helps in the secondary. It helps everybody behind that. So then they get on the edge, and if you hold the ball a little bit longer, that's when they're getting the sacks, and that's the plus for the guys who are actually learning what Ryan and everybody else is trying to get them to do early, and you don't see the fruit of it. They're just still working. They're working, and now all of a sudden last Sunday you got a chance to see that.
And what do you see from quarterback Baker Mayfield and that offense that's come over from Seattle?
Well, I know, offensive coordinator was there with Coach Carroll for 14 years. I was there with Coach Carroll for a year, and I know what he's preaching. I know what he's talking to the guys about, hey, don't turn the ball over. That was the first meeting that we ever had as a staff in 2011. Hey, take care of the football, do this. And you could see that in Baker Mayfield, where other places he'd been throwing the football up, stuff like that. You don't see that. You see him taking care of the football. He understands what that means. I think he maybe have like 2 or 3 interceptions, after 5 football games. And that's absolutely amazing. And then he's not getting sacked either. So those are some things that I know Pete will be preaching in 2011. He's preaching here in 2023. And they're actually getting it. And that's the reason why they are where they are. Their offense is good. They got great personnel. Everybody knows Mike Evans and Godwin and the guys up out at wide receiver. But their offensive line is good. Their running backs are good. But when you can take care of the football like Baker Mayfield is doing, you got a chance to win football games. And I know that's what he's been preached to.
How do you make decisions in terms of, at least with the defensive line, who's up and who's not?
Well, I think that, Ryan and Arthur, they always talk about competition and what are you doing during the week. And I think that's the biggest thing, that getting guys to understand that you're constantly being evaluated on what you do in practice. And if you're doing that, then you're going to play at a high level. You're going to practice at a high level because I think one thing that we've kind of shown, if you practice, you're probably going to get what you get in the game. And if you go out there and don't practice well, you're probably going to get what you get in the game. So we're trying to get the guys to understand there's a level of practice that we expect for you to practice at. If you don't do that, then the other guys get rewarded. So I don't think it's a negative or a positive. I think it's a plus for us that we got a surplus of guys that can go out there and play and, do what they need to do during the course of the week. But if you're not practicing hard, it's going to be hard to go out there and play during the course of the game.
What is Saquon Brown going to do to kind of get back on the field this season? Now that you guys have been more at full strength, you've been in after the last season.
Well, I mean, again, I think it goes back to practicing. What are you doing in practice that's going to allow you to get on the field? And I think that's one thing that every person has to go through when you look at yourself and say, am I practicing hard as I can? Am I doing what I need to do? And if you are, then you know what? You go and you state your case. But if you're not doing it, then you know what you're going to do. You don't have to state your case because the film has already said it.
Talking to Calais and Brady after the game, they were saying they're liking how the defense is playing. They both saying like they feel like there's another level they can get to, and they both kind of reference taking the ball away from teams more like you guys did in the first couple of games. From a coach's perspective, how do you try to implement that? Or is it just down to like a player's mentality and effort and trying to do certain things on certain plays?
No, I think, one thing we do during the course of the week is we do a turnover drill. We do that. We were really doing it in training camp. That's when guys are competing. And I think guys tend to lose that edge a little bit when you go to cards and you practice against each other. But we got to get back to that. I think it has to become natural to us again. Going out, balls in the air, go get it. Don't worry about the collisions. And then you'll do the same thing in the game. And I think we've been in position, I think a couple of times where the ball hit AJ on the foot last week, or Jessie missed one going on the over route. So we've been in position to catch the ball. Now it's time to go get the ball and not worry about the collisions in practice, because if you worry about it in practice, you're probably going to have subconsciously thinking about it in the game. And that's what we can't do.
What can you guys do in practice to make it a little bit harder on Desmond Ridder and try to improve him from making those poor decisions and throwing those interceptions?
Well, I think one of the best things that I've never been involved of, but that Arthur does for us here, is that we do a lot of unscouted looks for Desmond. And trust me, it's hard in practice. And that's the thing that you see. We're not trying to make it easier on him. Because if you're a young guy and you make it easy, guess what? On Sunday, it's going to be a little bit harder. And then to me, again, just going out looking, and it's decisions. It's the same thing that I think he wants to make plays, but as a football player, you could see 2 weeks ago, made those plays in Houston. Last week, it didn't make those plays. And you're going to have some learning curves with a young quarterback. You just wish that hey, let's go ahead and speed this thing up. And he's going to be a good football player. Trust me. He's a guy that competes every day in practice, and it's not going to be sugar-coated. Because on defense, we don't make it easy for you. And I think that's good for him, because when he's playing in practice against a good defense every day, he should get a lot better.
So do you think it's more so him just kind of getting used to, like, yes, something worked in Houston, it's not going to work again? Like, you're going to have to change things up every now and then, too.
Well, I don't think every throw is a good throw, if you put it like that, because there are some things you want to turn down, throw in the stands. Guess what? We got a great punter. We got a great kicker. Use that and say, you know what? I didn't make that throw. We can go to the next play. And I think some young guys, they want to make every throw. And I've been there. I want to make every play, too. But there are some plays that the veteran guys say, you know what? I could turn that down and go and take a punt and go on to the next play. And that's what he's learning.
So it's about kind of just resetting and maybe not doing too much.
Yeah. Like I said, everybody wants to make plays, especially that position is always magnified. And if he make a mistake, he makes a mistake. If he makes a great throw, he's a hero. And it's always that. So that's the position he's always put in. And now it's decisions after the throw. Did I need to make that throw? Did I need to make that throw? And he's going to learn from it, and he's going to get better.
When you were playing, I'm just curious, like when you saw maybe a young quarterback doing some of what Desmond has done, forcing through something, saying, I should have done that. Can you sense that as an opposing DB?
Let me see. Peyton Manning was 1-15, Hall of Famer. Okay, so you couldn't judge him. Who else? Steve Young. He started out as USFL, backup, not good at Tampa. All of a sudden, Hall of Famer. So, and am I putting him in that category? Not right now. But I think if you start judging him on those levels, then it's unfair. He doesn't have a lot of playing time. Because if you look at those guys back then, you would have said, there's no way I want Steve Young. There's no way I want Peyton Manning. Them guys are terrible. But all of a sudden, they kept going, they stuck with them, and they built people around them, and the team got around them, and they got better. They learned lessons. And when you learn as a quarterback, there's every throw I can't make. So once he started understanding that, he'll get better. I mean, he has a temperament of not getting down on himself. He knows he made the mistakes, but he's not going to get down on himself. He's going to come back and battle.
I guess what I was getting at is, from a defense perspective, when you're playing defensive back, if a guy is forcing it, can you sense that as a defensive back? And does that provide an advantage?
Yeah,
That's what I was getting at.
I mean, it can, but then, you could see a guy force it, and then they run a double cut. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm sitting there, and there's a go 80-yard bomb behind me. So next thing you know, you're like, okay, well, I think they're smart enough on the other side to say, well, if they're jumping stuff, then I'm going to run a double cut, and I can get you off that little quick game. So it's little things like that I think we can provide him with.
Arthur has talked about the offense evolving, and we've seen it in the run-pass ratio changing fairly dramatically the last couple of weeks. To what extent do you think the play of the defense emboldened Arthur to make these changes, that knowing that you can put trust in the defense that some things happen like they did last week?
Well, I think, you look over at the last 5 or 6 games that we've been playing, I think we've been playing good football. And like Grady and Calais talked about, we need to start understanding how to play great football. We're playing good in some spots, and there's maybe a play here, a play there, a play there that we're like, oh, what happened on that play? And we don't want to be able to do that. We want to say, you know what, we know exactly what the guy did. This is how we're going to make the play. And they go out there and make those plays. That's what the great defenses do. They don't have those hiccups in a game or not. It may be one, but it's never going to be 2 or 3 on really good defense. I think that's what Arthur is seeing. He know we're kind of gelling that way, and hopefully we can continue to get going the way that we need to go in order to be a really, really, really good defense.
Calais' career milestone on Sunday obviously is really cool. What's it like to have somebody like that around and to watch that come to fruition?
Yeah, I thought it was great for him. Where a guy, you look at it and everybody in the stands knew, the announcers knew. It was great. You get a guy get 100 sacks. And I'm like, man, that's 100 sacks. You really don't look at it that way, but 100 sacks is 100 sacks. And when you look back and you say, that was really, really good for him. We wish he could have won the game, and it'll been icing on the cake. But he still got 100 sacks. But I think it's more important that he does in the room. Leadership-wise, great guy, understands how to get guys to play at another level. Because if you got 100 sacks, he expects for everybody else next to you to start getting yours too. And so I see him talking to guys, talking to young pass rushers, talking to, Grady, talking to all the young guys about, hey, look, here's what we need to do. Here's what we need to do. Now it's ownership. And when you get ownership, now it's going to be way better. Other than the coach tell you what to do and you go out there and do it. It's like talking to your kid, hey, go out there and do this. And they mosey out. But when they want to go do it, they're going to go out there real fast. They'll pick up trash, and then they go on back. Even though there's a reward at the end, it's a want-to compared to somebody's telling me.
Not that you want to speak for the players, but how much do you think that they actually listen to Calais when he comes over and talks to them like you're talking about?
Oh, a lot. I mean, give an example. When last 2 weeks ago, we messed up a couple of pass rush games. And then this week, I hear him talking to the guys, which it was last week. And all of a sudden, the pass rush games were messed up because we didn't talk about those in the meeting as a staff. So it's like, okay, well, they must have cleaned that up. So now you see that when he's talking, they're listening because they see positive results. And when you're talking and there's positive results, you're going to listen more. But if you're talking, there's negative results, they're probably going to turn you off. So that's why I know they're listening to him right now.
Anything else?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Did you manage a flag football team?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
What's your starting 5? All NFL.
I can't give you that off the top of my head right now. I'm sorry.
Talking to Grady and Calais after the game, and just saying that this defense feels like it's playing well, but they can take it to another level with creating more turnovers. You've obviously been a guy who's done that this year. Is there a technique or something you can do as a player to try to have that, to be able to create that?
Yeah, I think it's really just a mindset. Anybody can make a tackle in this league, but there's only a few that can get the ball, hunt the ball every single play, and that's something that we're trying to do, on defense. It's something that we're preaching about, day in and day out at practice, film study. We're always talking about the ball, and that's what this game's all about. You get turnovers, you win football games. That's our job as a defense.
What have you seen from Baker Mayfield this season? If I'm not mistaken, you saw him a bit in the AFC North.
Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with Baker. Coming in the same draft class and playing him 2 times a year. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder, you can tell. He's using his feet a lot more than he did in the past, but I think he's doing a really good job of getting, Mike Evans the ball and Godwin the ball on time and giving them their chances one-on-one. So I just think that he's doing a really good job of managing games, not turning the ball over as much, and like I said, giving his guys chances.
How crucial is Mike Evans to an offense like that?
Yeah, Mike Evans has been doing this for a very long time. If anything, it helps out Baker with his decision making and stuff. If all goes wrong, he'll throw to Mike, and Mike will make them right. And we'll have our hands full with Mike. We're excited for that challenge.
After you guys reviewed the film of the game on Sunday, what jumped out to you offensively? Maybe opportunities that were missed, etc.
Yeah, I mean, when we get down in the red zone and the defense gives us a lot of opportunities like that, we got to capitalize and score because that was the difference of the game. If we got the ball in the end zone, then the score would have been different because we were playing catch up at the end, trying to get in there when we had a lot of opportunities to get the ball in the end zone. So I think it's just like when we get our opportunities in the red zone and we have slow starts in there, just making sure that we put the ball, in the paint.
One of the things Desmond was talking about was miscommunication was an issue on Sunday, but it hasn't been in previous games. Where do you feel like that miscommunication came from, and how can you guys fix it moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to beat the clock and just trying to understand that the clock we needed the clock to be our friend, but, we're trying to get the play call in the huddle, and it was a little slower than usual. So then, especially at home, we thought we can get the play call a lot faster. But we understand that we need to have just really good communication. I mean, we've been having good communication at home, but now that we're going away, sometimes we can struggle away too. So we can't. We got to prepare for anything that comes, and just to get the ball or get the play in the huddle and make sure we get out quick so we can have time to run the play and be comfortable.
Is that a technical issue? Is that like you not being prepared as well? Like when you're saying like it wasn't coming as fast, why wasn't it coming as fast?
Yeah, probably. I mean, just trying to go fast, trying to get out the huddle. Maybe us just trying to find what he was trying to say, but I thought we knew what we were doing, and then ran out too fast, and that's where a lot of miscommunication happens. Then we're trying to ask Desmond what the play is, or try to ask each other what the route is. So it's those little things that we want to stay away from, and just understand that we just want to get the play call in as fast as we can, get back in the huddle as fast as we can, and not kind of jog around to the huddle, so it can give us some time so we can go out there and execute.
You guys offensively are right there, especially in the fourth quarter. How frustrating is it when you guys can't score on those opportunities?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you put in a lot of work to score. That's why we do it. And again, it's going to go back to just details and making sure we're sound in everything we do. No penalties, no mental errors, and that'll put us in the end zone.
This is a quarterback who's obviously learning. 3 interceptions. A lot of people want to put a lot of blame on him. Obviously, how do you encourage him and keep him positive heading into divisional play?
I don't think he shouldn't be positive. I mean, everybody throws interceptions. It's just like, I think everything's magnified, obviously, for the quarterback. Like, he's going to take the blame for a lot of things that might not even be his doing. That's kind of the blessing and curse of being a quarterback. You get the wins, but you also get the losses. So in my mind, he shouldn't be discouraged at all. But as a teammate, but also as a receiver especially, it's just continue to tell him, like, hey, just trust yourself. Right? You're here for a reason. Keep slinging the ball. Like, just play and be the player that we all know that you are.
Through 6 games, where do you guys feel like you're growing offensively?
I think just having confidence in roles of where we're good, where we're not, where we can improve. But as the season goes on, you're always transforming, so you're never too comfortable, I guess.
I do hear you being, I don't want to say a jokester, but kind of sometimes when you're vocal. Why is that important in the locker room?
I think this game can get very monotonous at times. And you can lose yourself in a long season, especially for the young guys that are coming from college, where you're playing 12 to 14 games. If you include preseason, 14 games in, you still have, that's week 12, so 3 preseason plus 12. So we still have, 5 more games of regular season, plus if you make a playoff push, probably 3 or 4 more games. So it's a very long season. So not losing yourself in like the monotony of every day and still enjoying it and coming in here and having fun with it. Because if not, it can get real terrible.
Okay, this may be an absurd question, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Yep.
Are your teammates learning anything from your Instagram videos?
If they're not learning from it, then they're not watching it.
Okay.
That's all that tells me. They must not be watching if they're not learning something.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
You were talking about the offense and Des, and we heard on Christmas this morning that progress is still happening. Like he's still seeing that, and that's why he's still encouraged. What are some things on offense that you see, and you're like, all right, there's progress. This is progress.
Yeah. I think just everybody's ability to know the playbook better is great, because now we're starting to understand where Arthur's coming from with a lot of stuff that obviously it's his system, so he's known it a lot better, but we're learning why this happens, why we're doing this. But then seeing Des making these throws that he wasn't necessarily making earlier, because he now has the confidence, like, oh, I've hit that, I can do it now, I can do it. And now he's hitting these throws, and it's like, people are like, oh, that's such a shocking throw, but like it's not that shocking to us because we've seen him do it all through OTAs and stuff. So it's great to see him build that confidence in himself. But also, just continuing to grow as an offense, just trusting each other. It's been great.
Is part of that just having a lot of young guys that really haven't done it, like you said?
Yeah, that can be part of it. I mean, the NFL is a lot different than college. The schedule is different. The opponents are different. Just how you go about your day is different. Knowing how the outside affects you is a lot different. It's a business. This is your job now. It's not, you do a little football, have a little study hall, hang out, go to the frats. It's not that. You have to learn how to be a professional. So there is a little bit of that. And the faster you can kind of get over that hump and realize, hey, like, this is my job, the better off you'll be.
What do you think helps Des turn that corner with his confidence?
I think doing it. I think, at least for me, if I were to guess why I ever got confidence, it's because I've done something. I put in the work, and he's put in the work, and that's where you get your confidence from. It's usually not confidence from just like dumb luck. That rarely happens, even though people probably think like Des just all of a sudden got really good. It's really just the work, and it's months and months and months of work, really years of training and getting better. And the opportunity presented itself, and he was prepared for it because he's put in the work for it.
I was going to say, I know this is your first year on the team, but the last couple of years, this team has struggled on the road. How pivotal are games away from home? Why do you guys need to come out a little extra to make sure? I think they have one win in the last year and a half or something like that on the road.
Oh, really? Yeah. I think every game is really equally important. Obviously, division games are a little more. But home or away, it shouldn't matter. We should be attacking every game like it's a divisional playoff on the line game. Because I know in my career in the NFL, when you get to November and you've already got those wins under your belt, it's a lot more comforting than when you're in November and you're like, all right, well, we need to win this one and the next one. They need to lose these two. These two can win or tie, and then they need to just completely blow the last 3. Like, that's not a fun place to be. Like, you'd rather have the destiny in your hands. So whether it's away or home, we got to stack wins.
A couple of, it slipped me until I was looking at the stats today that you had 2 career highs and catches in receiving last game. What would be key to building on that and fitting in the offense? 9 catches, 125, where you had 120 last year and 8 in the second game.
Just keep growing, keep building on that, and then also winning on top of that make you feel a lot better. I always feel like you could do a little bit more, especially once you lost. So just keep on building on that game and just keep building, yeah.
And what do you see in Tampa Bay secondary? Carlton Davis told everybody they were writing them off too quick in the offseason. And they're off to a 3-2 start.
Yeah, a lot of vets on their team, a lot of savvy guys as well, great players. I'm just excited to go against them and compete at the end of the day. Go out there and just play.
Mm-hmm. And where are you all at as the offense is coming together? You see the passing coming along, 200-300-yard games by Desmond. How do y'all put a whole game together?
We just got to put a whole game together at the end of the day. Got to play well in all 3 phases of the field, special teams, defense, and offense. We got to be better, clock management, whatever it might be from all of us, knowing our plays and stuff like that. So just get out there and execute at the end of the day.
One of the things Desmond was talking about today was a neutral mindset, how he's always tried to not get too high, not get too low. He said that you do it really well, and he's noticed that you've developed in that area. Where do you feel like you're at mentally this year compared to last year?
Yeah, I remember my coach Steve-O down at SC, he'd always tell me even kill, and that's what it is. It's never get too high, never get too low, and just kind of not necessarily go with the flow, but just understand the next thing you got to do, next step you got to take in order to whatever it might be, to win this play, to win your one-on-one battle. So I appreciate that from Dez, and he's been doing a hell of a job of it as well.
You guys are obviously right there. I mean, especially in the fourth quarter. How frustrating is it when you guys can't capitalize in the red zone or whatever it is and not score?
It sucks. It hurts a lot. It's not the best feeling in the world, knowing that you're right there, knowing that you could be blowing a team out by how many points it might be if we capitalize on everything. But, yeah, we just have to, again, at the end of the day, go out there, execute, play our type of ball, our brand of ball, and just punch it into the end zone.
And then the miscommunication issues he was talking about earlier today, where do you feel like those came from, and do you feel like you guys can fix that heading into Tampa?
I honestly can't pinpoint where exactly they're coming from, but I know that we could fix it, and we are doing that with the start of today. We started on Monday, really, trying to fix that. So I think we will, and once we get that ball rolling, I think we're going to be pretty good.
I know there's a lot of fixation on the turnovers and things that happened in that game, but just from the offenses, the progression of the offense, do you feel like you're in more of a rhythm, like catching 9 balls on Sunday? Do you feel like you're kind of you and Desmond have more of a connection at this point than you did in week 1?
I mean, it's just how the game was rolling at the time, you know. A lot of guys were getting me open, you know, clearing out safeties, whatever it might be, to give me the ball, and Dez so happened to find me. You know, there's been weeks where we haven't touched the ball, and it's been Bijan and Tyler running the rock, you know. So it's honestly week by week, and if my name's called, I'm more than happy to catch a ball, you know. So just keep on building on that, keep building our trust in each other, our chemistry all around with the whole wide receiver corps, and just keep on building that at the end of the day.
Right on that.